Hello, and welcome back to the Argyle SMB Finance Leadership Forum. My name is Brittany Sullivan with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our esteemed speaker. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page, which include complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. To ask questions throughout the session, simply type into the Q&A chat, and we will address your questions at the end of the session. Now, without further delay, I would like to introduce our speaker, Guita Sharifi, Chief Financial Officer at Lifelong Learning Administration Corporation. We're excited to have Guita with us for a keynote titled SMB Growth Despite Disruption. Welcome, Guita, and over to you.
Thank you, Brittany, and hello, audience. I wish I could see you face to face, but we're in the virtual world, and I like to discuss today about the SMB growth despite disruption. So I'm sure most of you had disruption during COVID, but we're not talking about COVID. Every day things change. It's about where and how we can reallocate resources in order to be successful despite any disruption. So I'd like to walk you through a couple of slides and give you some pointers. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm not going to deep dive into everything, but we'll discuss and touch on the items that I think are important for you to know. Basically in this presentation, I'm going to touch on how to enable growth during times of uncertainty and the role of M&A, which is very critical during disruption, and evaluating any new opportunities, how to align your human capital planning and strategizing, and how to strengthen cash flow and liquidity needs. So there are a couple of things to basically pay attention to for how to enable growth during the uncertainties, which, you basically, I would use that as an opportunity. And you want to make sure that your CEO and your top management adopt a growth mindset, and then also position to thrive under disruption. And what I mean by that is to challenge your team and your management and your line staff to be in a blue ocean area. And I will touch on that today, later on. Evaluate your customers, because sometimes customers can change and it might impact how you make decisions. I manage a very large network of charter schools. They're nonprofit. We served over 67,000 students last year. We had graduates through COVID. We took opportunities. We saw opportunities at that time that might come in the future. As you all know, economy is kind of volatile due to all the disruptions in the Red Sea, and the ship navigations are disrupted, right? So all of that in the world around us impacts our decision and maybe our company. So with that, sometimes customers change, your focus might change. So for us, for example, because we're managing public schools, sometimes we pivot toward our customer being our students. Sometimes we pivot toward our customers being our parents. So that can change. So you want to evaluate that on a regular basis. And then what is your intent? If you want to grow during uncertainties, how do you want to grow? You want to grow vertically, stay within the same industry, or you want to grow horizontally, expand into new areas? Maybe you saw some opportunities. Maybe, sometimes I say, within an organization, you have farmers and then you have inventors. So what are your inventors seeing, the visionaries? Are there new areas that you could possibly tap into? And then focus on long term. Um, yes, you need to look at short term just to be sustaining your organization, but you want to look at it long term, what you want to do. And then next step, definitely align your team and strategize and plan. So the first thing which is really critical is to strengthening your cash flow and your liquidity needs. And how do you do that? And these are, I can deep dive in every one of these buckets, but you definitely want to improve your cash flow forecasting. In the past, as a finance person, I think we've come a long way with the AI. We used to have cash flows after the fact, and really, it wasn't I mean, it was important, but it wasn't something that leadership looked at it on a very regular basis. So, improving your cash flow forecasting and also having data available, daily if somebody wants to make a decision is important, so you can plan ahead, and then plan scenarios. Definitely have someone in your team who's a data expert. I know you probably have technology, but finance definitely needs people that know technology such as Power BI or good Excel knowledge and understanding AI, so they see opportunities and fill the gaps with AI, so you can have less errors and less interruptions as far as decision making. And then also identify risk, improve your, to monitor your cash on hand, improve inventory management, and also you can delay cash outflows strategies to improve your cash. Because, I mean, it all goes back to how much cash you have and how much money you put aside in order to make investment or do research and development. So it's really important to take a look at your cash outflow. So for example, we work with group purchasing organizations. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but there are some really large group purchasing organizations out there. I did set up a procurement department 4 years ago in my current organization. And with that, we have some contracts with some really large group purchasing organizations. So what they do is they contract really good deals with some vendors, and they mostly have anyone you can think of in that list. And with that, then the prices are negotiated. You don't pay anything; it's free for the organization, but for example, CDW is someone we use a lot. It's a vendor for our computers and other vendors as well, Microsoft and others. But they have really good prices. Basically, we get over 30 to 40% discount, more than what we can get if we say we're in the education industry. So we have Amazon, for example, that we use, and we make a lot of purchases. And what we identified recently was, let's look at our terms, net pay terms, and see if we can improve those a little bit. So we used to have net 30, we increased it to net 60 with Amazon. Now we're at net 90. So just imagine how that can improve your cash overall if you're working with a large budget. Our budget is a little bit over $500 million. So it makes a huge difference. And then the role of M&A and evaluating any new opportunities, it's really critical also. We know currently the global geopolitical environment impacts M&A. So use that as an opportunity. Do some kind of analysis. Monetary policies are also important. I don't know if any of you heard Fed yesterday maintain the rate. They didn't increase the rate, but they really still looking at wanting to get a greater confidence on inflation. So they think inflation is cooling down to 2%. But that could really well, motivate people to shape M&A and look at opportunities out there for their organization. I really want to touch on this strategy, red ocean versus blue ocean. So if you want to really tap into a new market or tap into some kind of a growth within your organization, within the same industry, I would suggest forget about red ocean. You can read this later, but the blue ocean is where you explore the market and then put your organization in a position where competition becomes irrelevant. So when I say competition becomes irrelevant is, for example, early pandemic, we wanted to open a private school, private nonprofit. We manage a public school, and we have over in California alone, we have over 100 school sites, and we started diversifying to other states. But when we wanted to look at private schools, we started looking at other organizations, other private schools. And the private schools we looked at, when you went to their website, when we visited, did some due diligence, they all look the same. They all showed that they're providing the same service. It's very personalized, basically the same thing. Nothing unique, nothing popped out to say, wow, I want to put my kid there. So basically, they didn't have a story about why they're doing what they're doing. So we started looking at how we price things and how we market and what value we can bring to the community that is very unique. So when you do that, then you become you put yourself in a blue ocean area where competition then becomes irrelevant. So you're not competing with the competition. You're developing new values for your organization, and you create a story so you become very unique, so you can disrupt the market, basically. Under the blue ocean strategy, you want to see that how you can reduce what factors should be reduced well below the industry standards, because not always you have to be above industry standards. And then you also need to look at where you can raise your areas above the industry standard, so you become unique, right? To be in that blue ocean, not a red ocean. Also, you want to look at what you want to eliminate. Which factors that the industry has long competed or should be eliminated. And then also you want to I don't know, I can't see my blog here, but you guys probably see it. So there are 4 areas that you want to definitely create to bring new value curve. Okay. And then once you put yourself in a blue ocean, and I highly recommend just Google blue ocean and pick up a book and read it. When you're in the blue ocean, then a couple of things you must do. You definitely want to make sure that if you discuss with your visionaries and your leadership team, find some change agents, because it's not just the leadership team, right? You want to get a buy-in, obviously, from from the change agents within your organization, people that people listen to or they look up to. And so make sure you get their buy-in so they can go out within your organization and get the buy-ins of everybody else. I mean, obviously there's sometimes some outliers, but that's okay. And then 100% do a feasibility analysis. If you don't have the expertise within your organization, please go hire someone that is expert in your industry to do a feasibility analysis, because that impacts where you're going to grow, what location, maybe what state, if you're going nationwide, and all the details. Where are your clients, that you want to grow in and serve them. Definitely do an analysis with your human capital and capacity. We just brought a guy into our organization to do a workforce analysis, because whoever comes to our organization, thank God, it's a very nice organization. Nobody wants to leave, right? So they're very happy. We have a really low turnover, and we as every year we discuss and sit around and discuss about the strategies change, so you want to align your human capital with your strategy. So you want to first know what that is and then see who fits in within that bucket. So definitely do that on a regular basis. That doesn't mean that you want to lay off anyone, but you can repurpose or transition those individuals to an areas where they are more effective, and maybe they can be a value added to your strategy. And with that, obviously, sometimes they might need new skills, sometimes they need more training. So that definitely look at that. Which is comes to my next topic on the skill assessment. That's really critical to make sure that everyone is aligned with your strategy. Timeline and project manage. That's really important. Sometimes we set out projects and we don't really have a project manager. I mean, your assistant can't be your project manager, or your VP, or your director, or your line staff, because they don't know how to, connect the dots. So when you're doing a project, you need everyone within the organization. It's a team project, unless it's a small project for your department. But if it's a strategy to disrupt, within this market, especially now that we don't know what the world is, what's happening in the world, we want to make sure that you definitely have someone to project manage and provide timeline and communicate and keep you on track and have some milestones. Train. So sometimes you assume someone knows something, and you put them on to lead something, and then it turns out that they might not be the suitable person. So definitely assess those skills, and if they need trainings, do train them. And then training on the new ideas or anything that you're developing. That's really critical too. Then test for sure before you implement. Don't just implement across your organization, just definitely do tests. And then I wanted to also end with a quote: think big, think disruptive, and execute it with full passion. So definitely think about how you want to disrupt your environment, your industry, and be successful, because you need to build that mindset within your organization and stay positive. When you're positive, and when your staff or employees trust the leadership, regardless of which way they go, they will follow. So you will find followers within the organization. So definitely think big, have hope, and hopefully your organization will be very successful. So I'm just going to look at some of the questions here in the chat and see if I can answer them. One of the questions is leasing still a better option with 842 requirements? Leasing, so what happened with the FASB and the new regulations? When you lease, especially long-term lease, obviously there are some calculations you need to do. You need to put it on your balance sheet, and sometimes it impacts your bottom line. So it depends. I would say it depends. Depends what you're purchasing. So honestly, we are purchasing right now. So we kind of shifted, like in my organization, we saw the opportunity in this environment to purchase the buildings that we were leasing. So I know interest rates are high, but the organization has really good cash on hand. So we're not financing all the purchases, but we're looking at financing as well. So we're kind of shifting our leasing into purchases. Not all of it, but some of it. So yes, it's not a great option. So I would start moving away. And again, it depends on your bottom line. So it depends how that impacts your your EBITDA or your finances in general. And then question number 2 says, which finance processes are most important to update first with new technology implementation? So if you're just talking about finances, I tell you, in my environment, I used to be in healthcare. I've been a CFO for 20 years, maybe 22, and I was in healthcare for 17 years. Currently, I'm in education industry. Both of those industries are highly, highly regulated. Um, so AI or improving technology is really important. It was always in healthcare, and it is in education because you don't want errors. You want to, streamline your processes, and you want to have the right process flows. But one thing that is important before you do that in finance is to look at your processes that you are doing manually before you implement a new technology, and make sure it's working. Make sure your process is there, because I tell you through experience, we did improve a process. We implemented a purchasing order. We automated it, and as soon as we started doing, I mean, we did all the good things. We got the buy-in, and we got the software. We trained everyone, but what we noticed was we did not look at the existing processes that we had. So as we were implementing new modules or improving that automation, we noticed, oh, we need to change this. Oh, we didn't do this. Now we have to add this. So what that did was, this person in this department or that department said, oh, I wasn't doing this, now I'm doing more work. So you're automating, but I'm doing more work. So at the end, honestly, what happened was, when we compared what they used to do and what they're doing now with the automation and technology, they're doing a lot less. But that process didn't happen very smoothly because we didn't look at the manual processes before we start automating. So if you want to automate anything, I would suggest in finance to start looking at your financial system. Make sure you have a robust financial system that has various modules, and it works, and you can leverage other types of automations or AI or other kind of softwares with your existing program. So if it's not doing that, then you have a problem, because you don't want them to be separated. You don't want different system all over the place. You want them all to talk to each other. So first, you want to make sure that your financial system that you use for your your GL and all of that is a good system. Then once you have that, then look around and see what is compatible to that, and then look at your definitely your purchase order processes to your PO, because what that does is streamlines approval, which is really critical. You know who's approving. There's a process flow for every department. You don't have to deal with email approvals or anything like that. And then also you can kind of tag expenses against budgets. Not everybody can approve anything. There's limitation on approvals, and then your payables will be smoother, because then the person that pays knows what needs to be paid and where it needs to be coded. So that's my suggestion. And then question 3 is, how would you define successful growth? I define successful growth if everybody's happy, honestly, within the organization. And I don't like I don't like an organization that is just sustaining itself, and there's issues always with their cash, or there's problems in the finances. You want to have a healthy financial situation at all the time, all the time. And then if you have a healthy financial, then you can then look at growth and investment. And then also, another thing that I think defines success is that having visionaries, but then you need to have a leader that can prioritize things. So you can't do everything, but you need people that can sometimes say no, and then prioritize, and then really focus on your planning and your strategy, so you can successfully implement your new ideas. And then what role will with FNA and scenario planning play this year? I think it's really critical to have financial planning and analysis. I mean, that's something that we always had, within the finance team, but it's becoming more and more needed within the organization, and that's why I just said we used to have a we do have a financial analytic department that also does procurement, but they're not very technology savvy. So when we look at the position, we have an open position. We really, really thoughtfully wrote the job description because I really, again, as I mentioned, I want to bring someone that understands all these new technology and can manipulate data. They need to be an accountant, obviously, but they also need to know how to know some of these like Power BI and different types of systems so we can get some visuals and some data on a snap. So and then AI is obviously growing in importance. So how can this be utilized to improve traditional operations? AI is really big. I what I did for finance, I had everyone, not just leadership or middle management. Every single person in my department, I have about 65 in finance. Every single one were trained in Chat GPT, for example. Some of us have a little bit higher access, and there are some other softwares that we all got training, and it is very helpful. I mean, honestly, it's like, what? It does that for you? So I think it's important to pick that up and learn about Chat GPT. It's a long way for it to really uh, be used all over, but I think it's a useful tool. And there are some softwares or AIs that you could use that incorporate Chat GPT. So, for example, we have some softwares we use that we feed in our financials into it. Several financials. I mean, with big corporation, public companies, you can put their annual reports and stuff too, and then you can then ask questions and get responses because it just gets you the response. You don't have to search through 70-page report. It finds it for you, or it finds the trends for you and draws a visual for you. So normally I use that before I go to the board meetings because again I mentioned we manage and support public schools. I report to 28 boards, believe it or not, 8 times a year. And in order to have those reports and well organized, I need to use AI. Otherwise, it's impossible. I mean, I have team members that write me the narrative, do the analysis, I have people that do checks and balances and all that with the numbers before I report to the board. But I like to do my own digging and getting some important facts from the big report and then pull it out and report to the board. So I use AI for that. And then, how have you seen the finance talent landscape evolve over the past year, and what should we expect this year? I think, I mean, again, it depends on your industry. It depends on your what you do, and if you are growing. I mean, this topic today is about growth, right? So you want to make sure that you have the right talent within your team that aligns with your strategy, and then that's how you look at your infrastructure, how you plan for your infrastructure for the next year. So for example, for us, we are on a fiscal year, so 7/1 through June 30th is our fiscal year. So what we do is normally right now we're looking at we brought a consultant to do a workforce analysis, and they're looking at FTEs and market trends and how we compare to the other industry and education industry as well. And then looking at the trends and looking at promotions and looking at how many people we have as far as that are that have supervisors, and because those all of that makes a big difference. You don't want to have ton of positions within your organization. You want to kind of narrow down. You need to have divisions, but you need to have small divisions, and you need to have one lead to manage it. If you have too many positions, it gets really too confusing to really look at those milestones and make sure there's accountability. So again, it depends on your industry and what you are planning to do. So I'm gonna turn it now back to Brittany, and if you guys have any questions, again, you can always reach me. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Geeta, for such an incredible keynote. And thank you for getting to all of those audience questions. We had some really great questions come through. I also want to thank everyone who joined us today. This session, along with all of today's content, will be made available on demand following the event. This does officially conclude the Argyle SMB Finance Leadership Forum. So thank you again for joining us and engaging in our content. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you again, Geeta.
Thank you.